That's not always been the case. And if you look and see like where the growth is and where groups are going direction-wise, you can kind of see that as well. What time is it?
3:03.
Oh, we got plenty of time. Great. All right, so these next three are about the 30,000-foot view. If I'm honest, they're my favorite because this is where like a lot of ministry gets lost, and a lot of us get so caught up in the day-to-day like admin work and emails and contacting people and hanging out with volunteers and students that we don't do these things. But it's super important. So this first one, pay attention to where you are on the business life cycle. Don't shut me out, super businessy. I know it sounds cold, but just hear me out. There are two different like business life cycle graphs I'm going to show you. The first one is from the Unstuck group. The Unstuck group is a consulting group made up from like big time like church leaders from around the country. And they come and consult and they take you through this thing. And I didn't steal it, it's on the website, it's public. But this is the first life cycle, and it's from church planting all the way to church death. And so this is what it looks like. You have your launch, which if you're a church plant is grinding. It's so hard, it's difficult. It seems like you're moving like yourself a million miles an hour in the church, like 1 mile an hour, right? And you're building and you're building. And then you get momentum growth. Momentum growth is like, hey, we can't mess this up if we tried. We can have an Easter egg hunt and have no candy, and 1,000 people will come. This is great. And then you realize, oh, hey, we need to figure out what's working, and you build towards strategic growth. And when you polish those up, you get sustained health. The problem with sustained health, and it seems great, right? Sustained health, who doesn't want that? You kind of just show up and like it's just like self-running. That's awesome. I used to want that really badly. I used to look at, my whole career has been rebuilding different things. Everywhere I've been, it's been rebuilding, except for this place. And I always thought, man, looking to my right and my left, those people who have like made it, like even it's not huge, like they just have like a well-oiled machine. If it's 50 kids, 100, 200, 10, it's just well-oiled and like their things are going really well. I wanted that. But then I started like reading about different companies that failed. And there's a book called Good to Great by Jim Collins. His follow-up book is called Why They Fail or something like that, like How the Mighty Fall. And so this is from How the Mighty Have Fallen. And it follows businesses in the same trajectory that churches go through. So at the top, there's a denial of risk and peril. The danger of sustained health is that you think everything is fine. Before you know it, you're not assessing things, you're not tweaking things, and you're on the downturn. And it's really hard to catch back up, right? Once you get in maintenance mode over here, it's really hard to get back to momentum. But if you stay at the top and keep saying, okay, this is going really well, but what's on the fringes, what's like hanging by a thread, what needs to be tweaked, and keep going at it, it will do wonders to not get into like the cycle of being stuck. And I wanted to be stuck for like, if I'm honest. I really wanted that like just sustained level, like how to show up and everything just kind of runs itself. This is great. But when you do that, you start to like lose track of what's working and what's not. And so the question we always come back to is actually the next point. But the question ask yourself here is, on this cycle, where is the ministry, program, or event? Like where is it? How can I gauge where it is, and how can I like make sure it doesn't go towards just maintenance mode, without innovation, without creativity, without like a fresh breath put into it? It's driving me nuts. All right, I'm not even looking at it the whole time. I can't imagine what you guys are thinking. All right, so the next one, number 8, is what we do when we do hit sustained health. When we do hit maintenance mode, it's back. Are you kidding me? Okay. Be willing to shift and tweak as you go, and as you grow, both. You can't pause long enough to make a big change or big shift, but also as you're growing, things do need to change. One of the toughest, most difficult things I had to do is over my career, let things that I love as youth pastor, let it go. And I actually made a list so I wouldn't forget it, but there are things about being involved with a church at 250 people that I loved. And being at a church of like 500, 600 people, guys, I just loved. And giving some of those up, like it was a true mourning process. And I tried to hold on to those things for too long. And as a result, the ministry went down into maintenance and like faltering mode because I didn't give up the right things and focus on the big vision casting. So here's some of those things that I couldn't do. Leading small groups. I held on to that for too long instead of being where I needed to be, meeting with parents or available for questions for leaders or questions that come up in their small groups they can't handle. I wasn't available. I was leading small groups. Going to every game a student invites me to. I love football. I'm from Texas. I love it. I love high school football. I can't go to every game like I wanted to at one point, especially now with 2 kids at home. I can't do it. And then baptizing students. I actually don't baptize a lot of students. They're small group leaders or their parents do, which is an amazing thing. But in order for the ministry to grow and have bigger impact, I have to let the discipling aspect go to my leaders. I can't do it, and I hate that. I really do hate that. But it's necessary for me to not focus on just a couple of students and focus on instead of a couple of leaders who can focus on a couple of students. And then it grows and grows and grows that way. It's just what necessarily needs to happen. And so there are also things that I did at a church of 1800 that I can't do anymore either. Leading every leader meeting and every leader huddle before services, I can't do because we're meeting with like a production team to go through like this video and this is next and hand the mic to this person. So we have volunteer coaches who lead our like pre-service meetings with our volunteers now. I can't do that. And so you need to assess where you are, where you're going, and what needs to tweak. And so here's my recommendation. That was going off. That means I have 10 minutes more. We're good. And then we'll get to Q&A. But the question to ask yourself then is this. What are the traditions, events, responsibilities of my job that those churches of the next size aren't doing? With a big Astros size asterisk right here. And I can say that I'm an Astros fan, so I can say that. But the big caveat is you have to be able to keep what makes you, you. Keep that. Don't try to become the church on the street or you see on social media or whatever. There are certain things that they're doing and it works because they've given some things up. And there's just truth to that. But there are fun traditions that youth ministry has that no other ministry in the church has. There are fun little quirks and little events that you guys have, that we have, that like adult small groups don't have. Those are boring, right? There's a lot of things that youth ministry gets to do. We shouldn't give all of them up. But you should visit and talk to and learn from the next level youth ministry, see what they do, pick their brain, go over like weekly schedules, and determine for yourself, okay, if I give up this event or this tradition, do we still have our DNA? If not, then don't get rid of it. But if you can, for the sake of something else that's better and greater, then go for it. Which is the last point. Take risks and fail. If your culture allows it. Another caveat. If your culture allows it. I'm blessed enough to be in the leadership at a church who said you should fail. You should try things and fail. And so what we did was our squad nights, our Tuesday night program, our students loved it. Like, hey, can we do this in the summertime? Sure, why not? Like, maybe 1/6 of the kids showed up. Which the goal is numbers for that because we want the goal is to reach students. That's the win for that event, and to get students plugged in on a Sunday. It was a massive fail. We learn and we move on. The girls' night that I was talking about earlier, massive fail because we didn't plan adequately, didn't foresee what was happening adequately, and we failed. But now next time, you better believe it's going to be awesome, right? If we're not taking risks and failing, then I don't know what we're supposed to be doing. Otherwise, we're just saying the same things over and over again. And maybe I go too far in that bend, but here's an interesting quote from Jeff Bezos, Amazon, when asked in 1999 about his competition with Barnes & Noble. I bet you, he said, a year from now, they will not consider us direct competitors. Clearly they do today, but we're on different paths. We're trying to invent the future of e-commerce, and they're just defending their turf. Are we going after the area that God has placed our church in? Are we actively going after those students who are not involved in any church who don't know Jesus, which is the Great Commission? Are we going after it, or are we just like defending our turf and trying to hold on to what once was? Hold on to that one thing that's keeping students away, or even families away, right? If you're a Methodist or Presbyterian, which I've been a part of, more traditional church, unapologetically be yourself. There's a real need for real authentic liturgy in this world. A real need for students to be involved with traditions and histories and the richness of Christianity over the last 2,000 years. Do it well and do it with the guests in mind, right? This isn't just for like the new age, like your church plan of 5 years and you can do whatever you want. This is just about going after those that God has put you around and not just being on the defensive all the time. I love that quote. They're just defending their own turf. And I think we all know where Barnes & Noble is now. And I love Barnes & Noble. I used to work for them in grad school also. So that was super cool time of my life. But yeah, so those are 9 principles that I honestly always have in the front of my mind. Thinking through any event, any leadership structure, any like program that we're doing, those are 9 things. And so I just want to open up, like, you're free to go if you need to. Oh, okay, here's a question. When was the last time we changed something significantly or tried something new? Just when was the last time? Make sure your leaders know about it. Don't do it without asking them. And make sure that you have their okay to fail. All right, questions?